Good morning. Today we are looking at Jeremiah 17, verses 5 and 6. And they say, "This is what the Lord says. Cursed is the man who trusts in mankind and makes his flesh strength, and whose heart turns away from the Lord. For he will be like a bush in the desert and will not see when prosperity comes, but will live in stony waste in the wilderness, a land of salt that is not inhabited." When we look at life, it's hard to trust somebody else's perspective. It's really easy to be about ourselves. In 1919, or the early 1900s, a pastor in Switzerland named Carl talked about the spirit of his times, where it was all about human achievement. And there were so many of the clergy in that time who were very liberal in their persuasion and placed all the emphasis on the man and not on God. Well, he published in 1919 a commentary on the Romans, and he turned everything from the culture that put man first, that was a part of the European liberal movement of the day, and he turned everything around and started a movement called Neo-Orthodoxy, where he placed, instead of the center on man, the center and the goal of all things was on God. Karl Barth wrote this book and started this movement that just really ties in with what we say today. You know, when we read our disciplines in Jeremiah 15:6, it's often hard for us to trust someone other than ourselves. I remember years ago we had gone to England with a group of youth and adults, and we were taking a trip to see all the places that John Wesley had been. One of the first nights there, we were overcome with jet lag and everything else, and we went to sleep, and we had to get up at a certain time, and we were just right on edge. We wanted to make sure that we were ready and got to the bus on time so that we didn't delay anybody else. So I called the front desk, told them to set me a wake-up alarm, and I woke up in the middle of the night and looked out the window, and it was broad daylight. And I was freaking out. I was trying to do the math between my watch at the time, which had not changed because that was before the technology would change your time zones for you. So I called down to the front desk and I asked them what time it is, and I find out it's 3 o'clock in the morning. It just, the sun rises earlier. But I couldn't trust anything other than my perspective. And my perspective was, I looked outside and I saw that it was light. So it was day and I was going to be late. It's hard not to trust your own perspective, but we're called to place our faith and our trust in God, and God will lead us. I hope that you allow God to lead you, and don't look at the perspective that you see, but the perspective that God sees, so that instead of centering our lives around ourselves, we'll center them around God. God bless you and have a great week.